Welcome to This Week from Blue Mountain Broadcasting. I'm so glad that you've tuned in today because we are going to be talking with our station volunteer, Keith Carlin, who is responsible for our move to the new facility, managing that project. And he's got some great news to share with us. In fact, related to the move, a piece of news I have been waiting for 3 years. So you've got to stay tuned for that. And then also we are going to be spending some time with station news, and we'll have our devotional. And I'm Lynelle Ellis, your host, and I'm so glad to be sharing this time with you right now. Let's begin with our devotional thought. I was reading today's devotional thought. This is July 12 when we're recording this program, out of the book Our High Calling, and it's a compilation of devotional thoughts by Ellen White. And this is a book that my husband Daniel and I have been enjoying and reading from off and on, really pretty much our whole married lives. We set it aside for a while, then we bring it out again a few years later. And it's really, really a good book, a challenging book, which you can probably tell from the title, Our High Calling, the things that God is calling us to in the Christian life. And today's devotional thought is so appropriate for what we're doing here at Blue Mountain Television, at Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association. It's called Sweetness of Self-Denial. So you can imagine it's all about getting our priorities straight, being willing to share, being willing to be generous, and actually sharing what we have on behalf of God's kingdom. And the Bible verse at the very top is Proverbs 8, 9, and 10. I'm going to use my reading glasses because some of the print on what I brought today is pretty small. Here's Proverbs 3, 9, and 10. Honor the Lord with your possessions and with the first fruits of all your increase. So your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will overflow with new wine. So just those verses alone begin to give us the challenge that we are to honor God with everything that we have. We will be generous with Him, and He, of course, will be generous with us. Let's read now, though, these thoughts that are here on this July 12 date in Our High Calling. God's claims underlie all other claims. He lays His hand upon all that He, from His fullness and beneficence, has entrusted to man and says, I am the rightful owner of the universe, and these goods are mine. Use them to advance my cause, to build up my kingdom, and my blessing shall rest upon you. Some give of their abundance, yet feel no lack. They do not practice self-denial for the cause of Christ. They give liberally and heartily, but they still have all that heart can wish. God regards it. The action and motive are strictly marked by Him, and they will not lose their reward. But those who have less means must not excuse themselves because they cannot do as much as some others. Do what you can. Deny yourself of some article you can do without, and sacrifice for the cause of God. Like the poor widow, cast in your 2 mites. You will actually give more than all those who give of their abundance. And you will know how sweet it is to deny self, to give to the needy, to sacrifice for truth, and to lay up treasure in heaven. The young, who profess the truth, have yet a lesson of self-denial to learn. If these made more sacrifice for the truth, they would esteem it more highly. It would affect their hearts and purify their lives. Too often the young do not take the burden of the cause of God or feel any responsibility in regard to it. Is it because God has excused them? Oh no, they excuse themselves. They do not realize that they are bought with a price, and unless they possess the spirit of self-denial and sacrifice, they can never gain the immortal inheritance. Give what you can now. And as you cooperate with Christ, your hand will open to impart still more. And God will refill your hand that the treasure of truth may be taken to many souls. He will give to you that you may give to others. Beautiful thoughts in there about what it's like to be generous for God's kingdom, for His cause. And maybe you felt just a little bit stepped on in a few places as I was reading along here. I know I did when I read it to myself. Just realizing that, hearing the Holy Spirit poking a little bit, pricking a little bit, and saying, here's what you could do. Here's what you could do more. Here's how you could be more generous. And I know I've often felt like I don't have a lot of extra resources to share. When you've got a family and you've got kids in school and you're trying to take care of all of them, resources can feel pretty slim and pretty tight. What I have felt that I had a little more discretionary leeway with sometimes has been some of my time. And I've been able to give some time, especially to places like this place, to Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association. And where I haven't had necessarily cash funds, I've been able to give some time. So you can think about that too. In what ways can you be generous for God's kingdom? Perhaps it is with cash gifts, which we certainly need in ministries like this one and in places where we are trying to do God's work. Or maybe it's time that you're able to give, and you're able to give and contribute in that way. So I'm just challenging all of us today as we read these devotional thoughts, as we think about God's kingdom and the value of His kingdom and how we want to share the good news with other people, challenging us to think, how can I be more generous? What can I give? How can I give more of my time and my resources? So we'll just keep those thoughts in mind as we take a short break and come back to hear from Keith Carlin. Welcome back. Joining me now is Keith Carlin, who is a board member for Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association and also spends a lot of time volunteering at the station in the technical area primarily. And you have been leading out in our move to the new facility, really taking a kind of a management role of that project, which we really appreciate, Keith. And I thought it was time for another update for our viewers.
So do I.
In fact, you have some really good news that is related to the move, but also bigger and broader than our move to the new facility, something that's important for our broadcast in general that I've been waiting to hear for a long, long time.
And you want to hear about that?
I do want to hear about it.
It was at 14:26 yesterday afternoon, that's 2:46 p.m., that a text was sent by Jerry Bobbitt from the engineering crew at the station telling everybody, and it was addressed strictly to Jim and me, we are on HD on all channels.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes, and HD stands for high definition.
High definition, 1920 by 1080i.
Yes.
And those are the important numbers. And I just went by the station this morning at the master control and triple checked that every one of those 3 channels says 1080i on the display up above those on the information.
This is a huge victory for us. Really, we have been working on this for, I'm going to say
3 years.
Okay, I was going to say more, 2 or more. So yes, we've been working on it for 3 years. There are so many elements to it, so many technical pieces that all had to come together so that we could improve our signal. We're not standard definition anymore. We're high definition, which is what we should be as a station in 2022.
Those technical details are still in the picture.
Yes.
Because while we are capable of transmitting high definition, we are limited on our resource content. We only have a part of our content available in high definition.
Yes, so
And
that's something we continue to work on.
And one of the things that will improve very, very shortly, in fact, it's going to be enabled by the installation of a device that is what made it possible to go HD for broadcast. An identical unit is going to be installed over at Sunbridge to give us the high definition signal from the satellite from Hope.
Yes.
And that will then give us about the high, what is it going to be, about 85 or 90% of our time on the air will be with high definition content.
Yes. So there are people who are watching should be aware that even though we are HD and we are broadcasting HD, not every program, in fact, a lot of our programs aren't in HD yet, but they will be.
That's right. And we're just talking with Lowell this morning. We have a number of our programs that we recorded initially in HD, but they have been getting broadcast in standard definition for the last several years, or since they were recorded.
What we call down-resed. Yeah.
And they were reprocessed
Yes.
for the standard definition, yes. And now we need to go back and get the originals and process them for the broadcast mode. And I know of The Quiet Place is one of those series. And let's see, the one on health that we recorded here.
Yes.
Yeah. These need to be brought up to the high definition. And then we also have another area that this has been a very, very significant one for me. It's our children's programming.
Yes.
I am watching stuff that is probably 30 years old.
At least.
On our broadcast for children.
Yes.
And it hurts me
Yes.
to see that we're still broadcasting the same programs, not just that it's standard definition. This is back from the days before there was even the beginning of high definition.
Yes.
And we're still broadcasting those same episodes.
Yes.
We need
The only
new
good
stuff.
news, we do need new stuff. Absolutely we do. The only good news, though, about repeating children's programs is that probably every 10 years or so, you got a whole new set of children who haven't seen some of these things. That's the only good news.
They need new.
They do. They absolutely
They need
do.
21st century content.
Don't they? Things
really
that
do.
that they get, that
That's
they
right.
understand.
That it's a part of their world.
Yes.
And I'm urgently thinking about how we can accomplish that. I see a large number of good quality and more recently produced children's programming in Spanish than I do in English. And so
And I
this is
actually know of
something
a couple
for us
in
to think.
English too. We'll have to talk about that are coming out
We
or have
need
just
to do.
come out.
I just heard this morning that there is a program being generated in Australia for children.
Very good.
That was started during the pandemic. And I don't know anything more about it, but I want to explore what's going on with that. And I know that's out of my bailiwick.
You know what?
but-
I'm happy to hear you talking about it because I'm guessing that our viewers, well, they're like, okay, great, we're HD, it'll look better. You know, I hope they're as excited about it as I am because I'm
Yes.
over the moon about it.
I know you are. It's
but-
hard to keep you in your chair
I
there.
know I'm about to jump out of it. First thing I thought was, are we having a party at some sort of celebration? You can't have a ribbon cutting for this, but it needs some sort of, woo, we did it.
And we're doing that.
But I'm guessing that our viewers are actually a lot more interested in, so what will I be seeing that's new?
That's right.
That's what we care about. That's why we have a station, so that we can have programs, so we can have something interesting. So I'm glad you're talking about it because we've also been talking about, okay, so we're moving to the new facility. That's nice. We love our new building. We're going to love what we're doing to it once we get the construction permit, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But what we really want to know, what's really on our hearts is, so what will be made at the new studio? What kind of shows can we expect? What's going to happen that we are going to enjoy, that will bring some additional value to what we see at Blue Mountain Television, that will connect with our community? Those are I'm sure that's what the viewers are thinking
community.
about. Me too.
I really want to see us focusing on the community.
Yes.
I'm involved with the community in a couple of other ways, other places I volunteer. And it is important to me to see Blue Mountain TV involved in those different areas of our community.
Thank you. Totally agree. And I know that the Secret Life of the Forest and Secret Life of the Desert series have been a good start into that for
They're
us.
wonderful. They
really are
good
right on
influence.
mission for us in reaching our
It doesn't
community.
have to be a Bible thing. It doesn't have to be a religion thing. It can be a quality of life thing.
Yes.
And that is what those Secret Life things have been all about.
Yeah, they really have. And they
Enjoying
helped us
it.
to understand so much more our region, the
Yes.
beautiful natural world that we have around us, which of course we understand God made, created
and we
for us
look
to
to
enjoy.
Him as the source of all of that.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And to enhance how much we appreciate it is really, really good. And that's what those shows
Can I
have
do
done.
the segue back to the studio?
Yeah, do it.
You were talking about needing new content.
Yes.
And that is something that our new studio will allow us to do. And I've just been sitting here while waiting for this interview to go this morning, looking around this studio here.
Yes.
And thinking, what will it be like in our facility to have this kind of a structured arrangement? And I'm looking up here, folks, at a grid of lights and the suspension systems of reflectors and all of these sorts of things that make it possible to have these kinds of recording sessions.
Absolutely. And we're grateful for this little corner we have here at the Walla Walla University studio.
It has been beautiful to be able to utilize this.
And share the camera equipment. It's been a wonderful arrangement, but we only have one corner.
And we need space.
We need to have lots more space.
In the new plan, there are allocations for 6 sets in the new studio location.
That gives us options.
That gives us a lot of options. So let's talk about getting there.
Yeah, how do we get there, Keith? I know just yesterday you were submitting some more items to the county.
The history of this is just, it's joyful and yet it's been agonizing. Starting back in March when I first submitted this, I was told at that time, you probably don't need to worry about the Washington State Energy Code. Not true. Washington State Energy Code was enacted back in 2018. Actually, it was enforced in 2021. And when we came to this state of the process, I was told by the county, some people that were really interested in helping us get through this process. Very cooperative. I really appreciated their attitude and their willingness to work with me. They said, we'll just see what we can get. And then they came back when we actually submitted and said, nope, you've got to do it. And that was what the requirements really did say. And I expected that.
Yes.
But it took me 3 months to work through all of the details of gathering, first of all, to understand what the requirements were.
Yes.
This is extensive. And then to work through all of the details of collecting the information to be able to respond to it, then to create the report forms that were necessary. Okay, I got all that done and filed that by July 1. This was Friday afternoon at 6:28 p.m. that I hit the send button. And attached to that email were 15 files to contain all of that information. This was not a minor effort.
No, huge.
And then the next Friday I got an email back and said, Keith, one of these files didn't have quite all in it it should have. It was missing a signature at the bottom. Oh, okay. Keith had not actually verified that the PDF copy of the piece of paper included the bottom of the page. This is the first time I've seen the copy machine not make a proper PDF in my lifetime on that machine. It didn't, and I hadn't checked it. Well, that was the first thing they had to ask for. The second one was one that made me embarrassed and red-faced with shame. I had a revised file for our site plan.
Yes.
And what did I submit? Not the revised one, but the original. And so Monday morning, about 8 o'clock or so, I submitted those two to supplement, and then we're fine.
So as of July 11, everything in that we need.
Everything is in their hands.
And now we wait.
Now it's a waiting game. They do another screening, which shouldn't take the full week like it did last time. And then we actually go through the evaluation process.
Yes.
And we have had a number of issues with that energy code. There are some elements in there that say we have to have so many energy credits. And those are achieved by certain steps you take. Well, we didn't technically meet one of those requirements for 6 credits. But I compiled all of the information about the energy saved by going to LED lighting in our new part of the facility.
Yes.
And we have achieved far more percentage-wise in energy reduction than is required by the steps that they were defining. And so I expect to be able to make the position to them. We have more than qualified, even though we haven't done it by your particular path.
Yes.
So we have to wait and see.
We're actually saving more energy than required.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to wait and see if they're willing to be flexible on that. And this is a state requirement, not a county requirement.
Sounds like time for some prayers on that, possibly.
It is.
Yes.
I have been doing an awful lot of Lynn. This has been a prayer exercise from the word go. You know that Keith is doing things he's never been trained for, qualified for in the past. I have learned so much new, and I've enjoyed it. It hasn't gotten me down at all, but every once in a while I hear people tell me, boy, I'm sure glad you're doing that, not me.
You know what? That is exactly what I was thinking in this very moment. So I think all of us are grateful that you have been willing to take this on and that you're taking us through this process as you're learning and growing and following up and meeting all those details. And we're just excited because now we're just getting so close to actually being able to start the modifications that we've been waiting a long time to begin over at the new facility.
You want to know what my next big need is?
We're just out of time, so tell me quickly, because yes, I do want to know.
A contractor to do the foreman work on this. I need a contractor that will be willing to come in and volunteer his time to actually manage the volunteers that we want to use.
Yes. Okay. So looking right at the viewers here, if we'll zip over to this camera, I just wanted to say to you that you heard that. You heard Keith say that. Looking for a volunteer contractor who can help lead us through this process once we have that construction permit, and can work with our set of volunteers who are willing to help and work on this. And also, of course, we're going to be needing some extra donations now that we're almost ready to begin the work. So
you don't want to talk about how much that is, do you?
No. Okay.
It's a lot.
Do you have a number?
Yes. To get us over there?
Yes.
$1.5 million.
Okay. 1.5 million. We're raising the funds. We've got just a tiny bit of that right now. So
a small, tiny percentage.
Yes.
But that's what it's going to take to outfit this entire operation, including the modifications.
So we're working on it. This is not too big for the people of our community to do.
No, it's achievable.
It is. It absolutely is. So we're excited about it. I know our viewers are excited about it, and definitely prayerful. And Keith, I want to thank you for taking the time to give us an update.
My pleasure.
Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back. It's time for station news. And I feel like we've already discussed the station news here during our interview with Keith. Boy, did he share some great things with us. Just to recap, high definition at Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association. And I'm going to say, finally. And it's something that we really have been working very hard on for a number of years. Keith and Jim Forsyth and Jerry Bobbitt. And then we also hired on Zach Swayna to help us as well, so that we could finally get there to have high definition broadcasts at the station, which of course we should have in the year 2022, so that we are on the same standard with others who are broadcasting and those who are streaming online. And I know that you are going to appreciate it right away for the programs that are already in HD. And as Keith mentioned, we have a long way to go still in the fact that the sources of our programming aren't always high definition. And so we're having to kind of back up then and try to get those sources of programming also in high definition, so that program by program, you're going to be seeing the quality going up and up and up for Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association as you watch it. So I couldn't be more excited about anything probably than the fact that we have finally met this milestone. I feel like we need to have some sort of big celebration. Haven't quite worked out exactly what that's going to be yet, but we definitely need to celebrate that here at this ministry. And then also, as you heard from Keith, it's pretty exciting too that yesterday we submitted the last things that we need to submit to the county, and are now just waiting on them to get the approval for our construction permit so that we can go ahead and begin that work that we need to begin at the new facility on Wallula Avenue. And we are going to be looking for helpers for that. We're going to be looking for volunteers who have construction experience. We're going to be looking for a general contractor who can volunteer time to help us with the project. So things to keep in mind. And And as you just heard Keith say, we have $1.5 million, and most of that we still need to raise in order to do everything that we need to do for moving to the new facility. Yes, we have a little bit, a small percentage of that money on hand already, and we have some specific elements of equipment that have already been, the money's sitting there waiting for us to purchase those pieces of equipment. And that's waiting, and we're glad for that, but there's so much more to do, and you can do it. You can be the one to be generous, to help, and to help us move forward. And as I talked about with Keith, it's not just about moving to a new place. It's about the space for 6 new sets. It's about what kind of shows we'll create there that will connect with our community, that will help people understand how they can come to know God better and enrich their lives through a relationship with Him and make plans for an eternal future with God in His kingdom, there with Jesus who has saved us, and our time just spent in God's presence for eternity. So these are huge, huge, important things that we're wanting to share and that we're thinking about here at this ministry. I know you want to be a part of it. I know you want to contribute to it. And so thank you for prayerfully considering how you're going to help us get there, do more, and do more for God's kingdom. And I also wanted to let you know that later on, actually the very beginning of next month, I'm going to be doing some traveling on behalf of Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association and going to Florida to the ASI convention, Adventist Laymen's Services and Industries Convention. For those who aren't familiar, it's a very, very important convention within the Seventh-day Adventist Church, where a lot of individuals who have ministries, who have very successful businesses, all meet together and try to share their resources in order to do just what we were talking about, more for God's kingdom. So a mission that we really, really resonate and connect with here at Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association. It's a very mission-oriented organization, and I'm traveling there to network. And I'm going to be praying a lot about that experience. I already am, and about who I will encounter and be able to talk with there. But it's all about networking to help us build the ministry here through connections that we can make with individuals who are there. We might even be looking to bring on some additional individuals at our ministry here to help us get where we're going. We're definitely looking for programming options that we can share with you, and building relationships and connections with others who are in similar ministries and who are also working for God's kingdom. So I'm really, really excited about this opportunity to be at the ASI convention this summer. So to wrap up, I just want to encourage you again to keep praying for Blue Mountain Television. That is the most important thing, to support the station financially, and also if you have some time to give, to consider how you might help us by donating some of your time. Appreciate you watching the show today. It means a lot to me, and I'll see you next time.